Did Grandpa ever give you one of these and say, "These are from the war, hold on to it because it's going to be worth a lot of money someday"? Well, if you've got one of these lying around, then you definitely want to watch this video because I'm going to tell you which of these gray little pennies are worth a heck of a lot more than 1 cent. APMEX is the proud sponsor of the Silver Picker YouTube channel, and Whatnot is the proud sponsor of today's video. Thank you both for your support. Hello everybody, Silver Picker here, and in today's video I'm going to tell you everything you need to identify whether your 1943 steel cent is worth a fortune or whether you best just put it back in that Altoids tin you keep tucked at the bottom of your underwear drawer since your grandfather gave it to you back when you were like 11. Okay, so first of all, even though these little gray pennies are super cool, I mean, they're magnetic, they're gray, they're made out of steel, they're different, they've got history to them, but they're really not all that rare. In fact, the US produced over 1 billion of them. Yes, that's a billion with a B. And what else starts with a B? Well, bad news. And the bad news is that with billions produced, that means most of these are worth just like 10 cents. However, if you keep watching, I'm going to explain to you which ones are worth hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But let's back up for a second and clue everyone in on why these coins exist in the first place and what makes them special. Well, if you look closely, you'll notice that these coins were only minted in 1 year, in 1943. And what happened in 1943? Well, it was just 1 year after the US entered World War II. And while it was ramping up for the war effort, well, you might think to yourself, what does that have to do with pennies? Well, they needed a lot of metals to create munitions. And what metals in particular? Copper and tin, the two main metals that they used in the penny. So the US government decided to divert those metals to the war effort and use more common and cheaper steel to make these pennies. Pretty cool story, but yes, I know you probably already know that, and you guys are here to learn about the money. What are these things worth? Well, since this coin was only produced for 1 year, there are no rare dates or mint marks, so it really comes down to condition when you're talking about value. Well, actually, technically, this coin was produced for an additional year, but I'm going to talk about that later in the video because if you find one of those, then we're talking a tremendous fortune. I'm talking 6 figures and up for a penny. So keep watching and I'll tell you how to identify whether you have one of those in your collection. So let's talk condition. Coin condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 1 being a really poor, cruddy example, and 70 being a perfect, pristine example of the coin. Now, most coins, if you can hit 60 or up, meaning mint state, or MS as we call it in the biz, then you're going to have a really valuable coin. However, since these coins are so common, you've got to get in the high mint state, the high 60s, to make it really make a difference. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you a resource that will help you determine whether or not your coins reach those levels of condition or not.
Now let's take a quick peek at the PCGS website and look at this 1943 steel cent with the D mint mark. D for Denver, because it was produced at the Denver Mint. And let's scroll down and take a look at the price guide. Now you'll see here the grades are above and the prices are below it. And if you notice, even if you hit a mint state 60, which is generally a really respectable grade, it's only worth $11. And when you go up to MS63, it's only worth $20. And generally the prices on the PCGS website are a little bit inflated. And it's important to note that it generally costs more than $20 to have a coin graded. It's usually like $35, $40, or even $50 to have coins graded. So even if you hit MS63, you're gonna lose money. And it doesn't even break the $50 mark until you get to MS66 at $62. And $62 is still nothing really to write home about, even though 66 is still a really high score. Now, if you go all the way up to 67 plus, you get to the respectable $500 coin number, which is fantastic. And then at 68, you get $3,100 coin. You can see the huge jump from 66 to 68, just 2 grades. It goes from a $62 coin to a $3,100 coin. And if you go all the way up to 68 plus, which is the highest grade in existence, it's a $15,500 coin, which is absolutely bananas because, again, still, it's 1 penny.
Now, I don't want to make it seem like it's easy to get coins this highly graded. I mean, odds are, in all honesty, that coin that's been sitting in your underwear drawer for the last 20 years is probably not going to be an MS68 plus. But it's not impossible. Crazier things have happened. And while we're on the topic of MS68 plus, no coin has graded higher than that, but someday there will be one that's found that is graded higher, and if it does, and if it's yours, it will be in the high 5 or even 6 figures in value. But don't despair, there are still lots of other ways that your 1943 steel cent could be worth a lot of money. It doesn't have to always be in the top condition. In fact, if you look at Heritage Auctions website, this MS-67, which of course is still a good grade, sold for $21,000 plus. How's that possible? Well, there's one other way that coins like this can be worth a lot of money, and that's if they are considered errors or varieties. The reason this coin sold for so much is that it's what's called a D over D variety, which means if you look at the D mint mark for Denver, it was actually punched once and then punched a second time over it. And if you look closely, you can actually see both Ds. And believe it or not, collectors are willing to pay big bucks for tiny little variations on coins like this. And speaking of collectors, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Whatnot. Whatnot is like the best place to be if you are a collector of basically anything. Whatnot is a live video auction platform in which bidders and sellers can come together in real time to buy and sell all sorts of cool collectibles. Now, I of course am partial to the coins and precious metals that I buy and sell on the platform, but they also have trading cards, sports cards, comics, figurines, sneakers, really anything that you collect, they've got. And if you use my link to download the app, that's whatnot.com/invite/silverpicker, not only do you get access to the incredible platform, of course, for free, but you also get $10 in Whatnot credit to spend on anything you want on the platform. Whether you go to my auction or someone else's, you get $10 to spend for free. Now, at all of my auctions, aside from the fact that I give away over $300 in silver, gold, banknotes, and coins, I also always have tons and tons of items for less than 10 bucks. So basically you come to my auction and you get it for free with my credit. Anyway, you definitely want to check it out, whatnot.com/invite/silverpicker, and come to my next Whatnot auction. Anyway, enough with the jibber jabber, let's get back to these 1943 steel cents. So we've looked at 1943 steel cents that are worth tens of thousands of dollars. Good condition, varieties, but what about those coins that are worth north of $500,000? Well, that's where errors come in. And I'm going to show you now how to identify two different types of errors that you might have hiding in your collection worth a pretty penny. Now, remember earlier in the video when I told you that it technically wasn't true that these 1943 steel cents were minted, just in 1943? Well, that's where our first error comes in. There were some coins that were minted in steel in 1944. So what happened is that early in 1944, when they were making the first batch of the new cents, which of course were again going to be made in copper, there were a few blank planchets. That's what we coin collectors call the coin blanks before they're stamped with the design, that got stuck in the machine. So there were a few steel blank planchets that were minted in 1944. Now these are exceedingly rare, and so far there have only been about 50 or so that have ever been identified, but when they sell for big bucks. These guys sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. In fact, this one we're looking at on screen
sold for $108,000 for a penny.
And conversely, the second type of error is one where the 1943 cents were produced in copper. And of course, that's probably from the same issue. Maybe there were some copper blanks left over from the previous year that got stuck in the hopper somehow and came out with 1943 copper cents. Now, those ones sell for even more. In 2021, one of these went to auction and sold for $840,000. $840,000, and it was only MS-64 condition. So imagine if you find one and it grades even higher, that will literally sell in the millions. Now, if you've already run off to your underwear drawer to fetch your 1943 steel cent to see if you've got something of value, now I'm going to tell you about that resource that will be super helpful for you to figure out whether you've got something of value or not, and that is PCGS PhotoGrade. PCGS, or Professional Coin Grading Service, is one of the preeminent coin authentication and grading services out there, and they have an incredible website that has what's called PhotoGrade, and you can look at all the different types of coins and see what an example in each grade is. So you can take your 1943 steel cent and compare it to what the pictures look like on the screen and get a good sense of whether or not you've got something of value. Now, coin grading takes years and years and years worth of practice and experience, and I'm not even an expert. If you watch my last coin grading video, you'll see how I got shellacked. You can check it out in the card over here. But anyway, you definitely want to try and do that before you start jumping for joy. Now, let's say you do have a coin that you think is worth a tremendous amount of money. Well, what do you do then? Well, you're already ahead of the game because you have me. You can email me at thesilverpicker@gmail.com or message me on Instagram at thesilverpicker and send me some pictures and I'll try and help you out. And then if you do really have something of value, I can tell you what the next steps are to get your coin graded and then ultimately sold so you can go off and retire and sit on the beach and sip pina coladas all day from a penny. Now, before we sign off, one last little warning, and that is that there are tons and tons of fakes out there, right? For the 1943 copper cent and the 1944 steel cent, those two super high ticket items, those have been faked many, many times in China. However, there are ways to determine whether or not they're real, and that is by looking at the weight and the diameter of the coin. Both of the real weights and diameter are listed right here, so you gotta match yours up to those. If you've got the right weight and you've got the right diameter, then there's a pretty good chance that you have a real coin, and then let's talk business. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I make a lot more videos about coin collecting, precious metals investing, personal finance, and the like, so stick around, hit that big old red subscribe button, and while you're down there, throw me a like. It takes you a second and means the world to me, and I've got a lot more videos in this series that are tagged in the description box below. You gotta check them out to find out whether you've got all sorts of different coins worth tons of money hiding in your pocket change. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I got a lot more awesome stuff coming down the pike, so stay tuned, and until then, Silver Picker out. A huge thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. You guys are amazing. If you are not yet a patron, well, now's the time to join, because not only do you get access to our incredible Discord server, but I'm producing more and more Patreon exclusive videos every single week. So if you want to join and support the channel and get more Silver Picker while you're at it, the links are below, and I can't wait to meet you in our private Discord server.